A Soldier's Worst Nightmare, Part 2. After we were dismissed from the briefing room, I walked with my buddy, Jimmy. He was roughly 6'2", very muscular and athletic, with blue eyes, short, dirty blonde hair. He was built with speed and strength, like a tank that could move at the speed of a Corvette. We had a really good sense of humor between us, with me being 5'11", mixed Hispanic that I am, with blue eyes and black hair, slightly longer than Jimmy's. He always called me Vanilla Bean, and I'd always tease him about how he came from the same mom as my wife. Jimmy broke the intense silence that sat like concrete after the briefing room. You think there's something these assholes aren't telling us? My eyes snapped up from the dirt. Yeah, there was something very off about the situation, I said, with a slight hint of confusion. I looked around to see if any higher ups were around us. How the hell do these synthetic assholes like ISIS get their hands on a biological weapon made in Russia? It just don't make sense, does it? Jimmy's eyes filled with concern as he sighed. I think there's something that they aren't telling us. The small-ass base, the fact we are 5 miles away from the bloodiest city in Iraq, and there has been complete fucking silence since we got here. No small arms fire when we were flying in on Black Hawk. No explosions. The state of the weaponry, he said in an elaborate voice, pointing towards the shiny new tanks sitting in the depot. Yeah, good point, I said as I walked up the steps into the barracks. We spent the time we had before the operation doing maintenance on our gear and bullshitting about the time Jimmy, a leader at the youth camp, he went on and on about how he snuck into the camp late at night with a couple of camp leaders and hogtied all the kids and made them roll around the volleyball pits as they sprayed water on them. You can't do that nowadays unless you want to be buried up to your neck with lawsuits. At about 2200 hours, we snuck into a mass hell and snuck a couple of Dr. Peppers and a couple of bottles of hot sauce, which we were going to use with a big ass bag of Takis I had in my rucksack. We like burning the fuck out of our taste buds and waiting to see who would go for the water first. After that, we started getting our gear ready. We packed our bags, loaded our mags, and got our special issue hazmat gear on. I got in one of the Humvees with Jimmy, our lieutenant. Got in the 50 cal turret. Once we got in the convoy into position, they opened the front gate and we rolled out. Our platoon leader instructed us to keep the comms to a minimum during the ride. He didn't want to hear anyone's personal story. He was a very closed-off man. He had a look in his eyes like he'd seen the Reaper up close and personally killed him with his bare hands. About a quarter of the way to the AO, I was already sweating my ass off. These suits may have been less bulky than those puffy yellow ones, but they were so stuffy. I looked over at Jimmy, who was messing with his stupid Rubik's Cube 5 minutes into our fucking trip. And I already got swamp ass worse than the motherfucking Everglades. He looked up from his puzzle minds, gotten so bad his seat feels like a damn slip inside, he said with a chuckle. He then went back to his Rubik's Cube, and on his first trip, it slipped out of his hand. Shit, he said as he bent over as quick as humanly possibly, slamming his forehead against the metal seat in front of him. Son of a bitch, he screamed, grabbing his forehead. I sat there laughing my ass off. Our LT looked down from his toilet. What the fuck is going on down here? He questioned with a bit of disappointment in his voice for having missed the most hilarious moment in history. I looked up Laughingly he said his wife just found out about his one-night stand with his cousin. Didn't you have one-night stand with your sister, too? He said jokingly. She's his wife, too. Jimmy shook off the water in pain and shouted, "Fuck you guys." Just then over the comms, I heard our conductor at the front of the train, 5 minutes from the drop point. Shit's about to get real.